for expert insights and clear explanations. Booza Commissioner. In a nation hungry for truth, a world where every story matters, there exists a beacon of trust and reliability. For decades, they've been our voice and our window to the world, holding the mirror of our history. With 4 TV stations and 11 radio channels spanning 27 languages, they stand as guardians of information, defenders of truth. With Mascari Heritage Advantage, they uphold every citizen's right to reliable and free information. Their archive stories shaped our past and illuminate our present. Yet now, as new challenges arise and the world evolves, their mission faces its greatest test yet. Be part of our journey and let's navigate the unknown, uncover the untold, and safeguard our future together. Tune into your public broadcaster, for it is the intersection of trust and truth. Because to UBC, your story, and every voice matters. UBC, inspiring Uganda.
Every Wednesday, live in our studios in the heart of Kampala.
We have to change the political culture in this country, really. Who has bewitched Ugandans?
I want to assure you, as government, we shall do whatever it takes to ensure that Ugandans are safe.
We have conversations that have analysis, explanation.
This law society, this union of theirs, because they want a job everywhere, they want to be this, they want to be that, they want... No. We know it's a union.
You cannot be making a road, bitumen grade 1, in Congo for 5 billion.
But not every truth is fact, and not every fact is truth.
The argument that the General Court Martial is responsible for peace and stability is without basis, either in law or in fact.
We have been told how Napoleon was a great orator. Now, Napoleon cannot help me get food. They told me combine harvest in Saskatchewan. I don't know where Saskatchewan is. This is a geographer we taught. Instead of teaching me how to preserve Mabera forest, they're teaching me about Rhineland. This is a problem we got. We cannot run away from it.
Right now, you hear very disgusting stories of members of parliament. Instead of discussing the details of loans, they ask for their cuts.
Every Wednesday, 10 p.m. on your public broadcaster.
Broadcaster, UBC, inspiring Uganda.
The government's commandate is to maintain law and order, safeguard citizens' rights, and provide essential public services.
Remember, one of the pillars of a roadmap is innovation and entrepreneurship.
There has been this question of how are you protecting our indigenous seed?
It's going to be a tall project that answers somebody's question.
The Front Bench has brought you insightful discussions on governance, security, healthcare, justice, and commerce.
Why do you go through this complicated procedure, involve the lawyers? You bring the case against him, the judge will hear you out and pass judgment, and you're out of court in record time.
We remain committed to keeping you informed and engaged on key national matters.
So these are huge, these are powerful organizations which now Uganda chairs. Why don't you come together?
If we haven't migrated to the e-card because of various reasons, including that not all the people of Uganda have smartphones.
You can sit in your house, apply for a passport. If you have a Ugandan who has a successful logistics firm in the US, it means he can come to Uganda and do a lot more.
Every Monday at 8:30 p.m. with me, Jethro Kasaiji, your interface with the government only on your public broadcaster, UBC, inspiring Uganda.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Okay.
A very good morning to you. Thank you so much for watching UBC TV. It is The Agenda, and welcome back from the business desk. In the agenda today, or on the agenda today, we're looking at a rather pertinent issue. But before I even delve deep into it, be part of the conversation. 0709-602-592. My name is Julie F. Nantaba. Now, of late, it's extremely hot and dry. And the impact has been immense, majorly for you who's probably within the city and you do not work under the sun in line with the nature of your job. You might think of just the discomfort, but the discomfort crosses to the extremes. For example, looking at areas like Karamoja, where prolonged dry conditions have led to crop failure, and that means a report of, as we saw last week, a report of about 16 people were reported dead in Karamoja. This comes from a hot and dry climate. But if we also flip the coin and look at the rainy seasons, we've seen the extremes of floods therein that have taken place here in our very own country. And of course, there's a lot of questions, few answers. How do we handle? How do we manage? What should we do? What can we do? What are we not doing? A lot of questions in there. That's why today we choose to look at Uganda's trend in climate change and biodiversity conservation. We're having this conversation with Dr. Jibril Semakura Omcha, who is Uganda's permanent representative to the United Nations Environment Programme on UN Decade on Ecosystems Restorations, which is a program for 2021 to 2030. He's not only Uganda's representative at the UN, he is also a medical doctor as well as a presidential medalist 2024. So it's a conversation that we know we're having with an expert and one with a plethora of knowledge to spew to us, and as we find solutions and take a lot of nuggets from it. Be part of it once again. 0709-602-592. A very good morning to you, Doctor.
Well, good morning. It is very unfortunate that the part of Africa is drying up. Amidst all trials, it is very, very unfortunate that in the part of Africa, we are registering death cases simply because of hunger and other climate change related impacts. For example, in February here, March, we have been experiencing a lot of rains, a lot of flooding in Kampala. But it's so unfortunate that within a period of 3 months, we are now experiencing a lot of droughts. That the crops, what is known as a plant season, a planting season, the crops are already drying up. That he who can't afford irrigation may not harvest anything at the end of the season. This is very unfortunate, and maybe it should be our last lesson, because we have been learning, we have been experiencing all of these things. You remember in 2022, Uganda lost about 2,000 people in Karamoja. So if we didn't pick a lesson that these are the people who didn't die because of wars, but they died simply because of water deficiency syndromes, malnutrition, too much heat. But this is occurring within Uganda, not in Somalia, not in UAE, not in Mongolia, not in Mauritania, which are known as desert countries. You get it? So it is an indicator, actually it is a significant indicator that we are almost doing nothing as far as environmental protection is concerned. And it should be our worry that are we preparing the communities to be part of this? Is Karamoja very, very dry that it can't support livelihood programs? In Karamoja we have streams. The soils are fertile. Meaning with the permanent interventions, we can set up irrigation farming structures to support at least food cropping in the area. Only that we just maybe we need a revised will, we need a revised commitment. That not the Prime Minister's office to wait for this scenario, they come up with a basket on collecting relief funds. Are we going to keep soliciting funds every year?
Doctor, before we even go to
Yes.
soliciting,
Yes.
let's talk about the message. The message in the hearts of many Ugandans. Do you think Ugandans actually take climate change as a topic, as a conversation of as a topic of discussion, day to day?
I believe that there is a missing gap as far as information is concerned.
Okay.
People are not aware on how to protect the environment. If you move around areas of Kazo, Chiruhura, cattle corridors, the places are very dry. That even the water tables are very low. They are just pumping water from River Mpanga, that is the Nibanda, to Kazo areas. But again, if you go around River Mpanga, people are seriously harassing that river. They are planting eucalyptus in the boundaries, in the catchment areas of the river. Meaning at one time, the water levels in that river are also going to dry up. So, where are we missing? That are people prepared on how to coexist with nature? No. They are somehow prepared. If someone is prepared, therefore, such a catchment area, such a water source, Uganda is so blessed that within about 200 kilometers, the radius of everyone here, you will find a water source. You get? That countries like Egypt, they are irrigating their crops using the River Nile waters. Yet as the owners, we have not benefited from it. Therefore, the community should be prepared on how to coexist with nature. Sensitization, that not to wait for NEMA to come up and chase you or evict you from the wetland or from the swamp. You should be in know that such a wetland, in its presence, during the process of evaporation, it aids in rainfall formation. That's why today we are experiencing a lot of droughts across the country, not because that Uganda has so much changed, simply because our behavior has changed towards, like we harass the ecosystem. That the swamps which were in our villages have now dried up, have been encroached on with various projects, with buildings, with the eucalyptus tree growers. You get? This is detrimental, and we are now experiencing the impact as an entire country. What should we do, or what can we do to reverse this? Let us teach the community. Let them be actively involved into at least agroforestry programs. Because in agroforestry, this is where we do intercropping of our trees with our crops. That in a garden with some trees like Coriandra in Sri Lanka, it will be so hard for such a garden to dry up completely. Why? Because such a tree, it is a nitrogen fixer. It provides the shade.
Right. Doctor, in fact, kindly plant a tree there, because indeed I'll engage you on solutions so that we delve deeper into them and in detail for our viewer to get the picture of it. If you're just joining us, we are looking at Uganda's trend in climate change, and that is in line with climate change and biodiversity conservation. Be part of the conversation. 0709-602-592, because the truth is you are equally experiencing the dry season. You are equally being affected. Your crops are not growing, I know. There's many things that have changed. And when it rains, you do experience the floods. Let's chew on this as we learn and relearn together. We are having this conversation with Dr. Jibril Semakura Owomja. He is Uganda's permanent representative to the United Nations Environment Program on the UN Decade on Ecosystems Restoration, that is 2021 to 2030. He's also a medical doctor as well and a presidential medalist 2024. 0709-602-592. Share your question or opinion at that into this conversation. Doctor, looking at the trends, or what the trends have been like according to your perspective of Uganda's climate.
Yes.
What trends have you noticed? Air them out and give detail to each.
Well, in that way, I first appreciate all tree growers, because Uganda's forest cover have improved from 8.7%, that was of 2017, to 14% currently. However, note that the Uganda's forest cover had decreased from 24% that we had in 1990.
1990s, yeah.
You get? But because of people's commitment, efforts, multiple stakeholders, the private partners, the Ministry of Water and Environment, under the Running Out of Trees campaign, the Uganda's forest cover is apparently at 14%. That is success. But we must improve our efforts. We must double our efforts. We must have all ourselves involved. We have seen NEMA celebrating success in wetland restoration. Yes, this is good, but we are targeting the previous status. It may be so hard to achieve because the population have increased and the land is not increasing. You get? So we may not hit the target, the previous targets, but again, if we sustainably protect what is available, we shall be in position to achieve something better. Additionally, though the Uganda's forest cover is increasing, we still experience a lot of challenges, a lot of illegal logging, encroachment from various communities. For example, you saw the president recently asking about what is happening in the Mavira forest. Because the communities are there, communities are not supported to have livelihood programs. You understand? And where is the worry? Can we have these people empowered to have their mindset diverted from logging, from charcoal burning to other sources of income? You have seen trucks of charcoal coming from northern Uganda, the driest part of this country, but carrying charcoal. You understand why people are not having enough livelihood programs to keep them financially empowered or improved? You understand? So that question from the president, it is solvable if we come up with enough sustainable programs, livelihood programs, to empower these people financially. Otherwise, the pressure on ecosystem keeps on increasing. You recently saw Bugoma, that the sugarcane planters had encroached on it. Why? Because they feel like making money is better than protecting the environment. Actually, that's why I'm part of the UPDF committee that is formulating the climate change and environmental strategy, whereby our main intention is coming up with the environmental directorate at UPDF that is going to be helping us to ensure enforcement, timely deployments of the army into these reserve areas. Where is the beauty? That if we have all ourselves involved, if people cannot understand that there is a need to protect the environment, then forces should come in. You understand? That if Valirega, NEMA comes in to say, please, you have encroached on the wetland, let's protect. Let us come up with alternative programs that can be again conducted in that wetland. We have tree, in Kenya, they are planting bamboo, and bamboo is being used in textile industries to make these clothes, the jeans. Uganda is not so much different from that. We can adopt that policy. We plant as many bamboo. Bamboo is fast growing. It preserves these wetlands and swamps. You get? So that if these people have been evicted, let's replant these trees in these areas. We protect the wetland, and the livelihood should be improved. The household income, you get? If you move around the country, we had the National Forest Authority. They had established nursery beds across the country, the nursery bed points, for people to access free seedlings. You get?
Right.
But this has not been so much achieved simply because of under-budgeting. You get? Our target would be that if at least every person at household level can plant at least 2 trees of mangoes, can plant oranges, that these are going to be protected, but at the same time someone who earns from it. A mango around Kampala is about 2,000. A good mango. When you go to Kapeka, they are even using raw materials imported from Kenya, the mangoes that are being dried for exports. So you can imagine that if these people have been prepared to adopt this policy under agroforestry programs, you never know, we shall increase the tree cover on a private farmer's land, and at the same time, we shall be rescuing our ecosystem.
Right. Allow me get back to, I think, where we even should have started from, because I've been talking about the UN Decade on Ecosystem. What is it exactly? And why is it important for Uganda?
This decade was launched in 2021 with an intention of reversing or with an intention of rejuvenating the lost ecosystem. And it is a call, it is a call to all partners of the UN, to all subscribers, where Uganda we are part, that authorities sat in our negotiations, and we said, how best can we involve all countries? How can we have them commit towards environmental protection? That's why you see we have funding coming in. You saw recently the European Union through the OPM, they gave about 48 million euros to enhance forestry programs in Uganda. That if all countries commit and set to achieve their NDCs, we can reverse the impact of climate change, the global warming. You get the erratic rains we are receiving. We are now in droughts, but in the next, around September, I will again be here discussing floods in Elgon region. You understand? That is very funny that this decade aims at sensitizing communities, preparing countries to achieve their NDCs, where the commitments are being made by the largest, the global emitters, the highest global emitters, funding the least developed countries with chances of implementing their policies on environmental protection. And as a country, as Uganda, at least we have benefited. You get? We are benefiting actually. We have seen the global environmental facility coming here to support, to fund. We have investments coming in as far as the forestry, carbon trading is concerned. You get? So, all of these aims at preparing every country, where Uganda, at least we are progressing. If the forestry cover has increased, if the wetlands are increasing, there is some advantage, there are some benefits. But again, now this is shaming that we are now losing lives because of droughts. Yet we have chances, we have capacity to commit into solar-powered irrigation farming. Our waters, by the way, our waters are safe. I have been in Mauritania, where they are pumping water from Atlantic Ocean. That is salty water. They treat that water. They again add fertilizers, you get, and do irrigation to their crops. You understand? But here, our waters, at least they are nourished enough to support the crops. You understand? So it's a matter of changing the mindset. If the government can take this as a priority, that at least the Ministry of Water and Environment can be one of the highly funded ministries, at least for about 2 to 3 consecutive financial years.
And if you say mindset, I think now it cuts across.
Yes.
From the ordinary Ugandan right to policy makers here in Uganda, to members of parliament.
Let me make it clear. I'm part of the parliamentary forum on WASH, that is water, sanitation and hygiene, where commitments have been made, where money have been passed to support water-related programs, with an intention of not having a community suffering. When you go to areas like Uganda, Uganda is my home, but we spend about consecutive months without receiving national water. The taps are there, but no water. Why? The sources, the reservoirs were encroached on, and they can no longer supply water. You get? So that is a worry we should be all concerned about. You get? That if a certain community is now struggling with food, medically, you know, a hungry community is so hard to control. You get? If someone suffers malnutrition and dies, that should worry us. That can't we come up with alternatives? If it is agroforestry, I have been in Karamoja. I have seen these water streams. The MPs, Karamoja has about 21 MPs.
Thereabout.
And these MPs are all waiting for about 300 million each to buy cars. You get? But they cannot commit this money to at least to support an irrigation project in their areas where people are already dying.
Right. We
Mindset change.
are looking at climate change and biodiversity conservation here in Uganda. And what is Uganda's trend when it comes to that? Having this conversation with Dr. Jibril Semakura Omsha, and he is Uganda's permanent representative at the UN, that is the United Nations Environment Program there, where he represents Uganda, but also looking at the UN Decade ecosystem that is 2021 to 2030. So far we are at 2026, left with about 4 years to clock the 2030. Allow me, Doctor, get into a couple of comments. Good morning, I'm Dikola Jamada from Buyende District in Kondo SC. We have an association and we need to be supported by providing us with trees. How can we access? And somebody else comes through and says, good morning, Uganda. I think we should start walking the talk when it comes to climate change in Uganda. More public sensitization should be done in the whole country and funding private sector players in the field. This is Edson Mohanji in Entebbe. Over to you, Doctor. Any 2 cents to share on the comments?
Yes. Someone said that they need trees. That is what I started with, that our nursery bed centers from the Ministry of Water and Environment are empty because the government has not injected in a lot of money to supply these seedlings to the communities. However, we have private partners like the roofings, roofings under the running out of trees campaign. You just have to write, actually they should take my contact from here through our chairman, that is Isaka Twesige, who sits at the ministry. You write, you explain where you want to plant the trees. Once the land has been verified and the trees we want to dry, please, you can access and receive as much seedlings as you can, with a note that you must protect these trees after planting. They grow because they will be traced and monitored, as we wait for government funding to come in so that we can have more nurseries across the country. Someone talked about environmental sensitization. Actually, it should be part of our education system, that from childhood, a baby is prepared enough to know the values of environmental protection. Not because that we have enough, we should ignore. No, other countries are struggling to have what we have. You get? And they wonder, how can a part of Africa die of hunger, die of climate change? yet themselves, they are struggling to have what we have already. So, climate change education should be part of our education system. From primary level, that these people are prepared enough to understand the values. Actually, it shouldn't be a special course. It shouldn't be a special course at universities. I'm a medical doctor, and we believe that infectious medicine, 95% bases on environmental protection. That if you don't protect the environment, at the end of the day, you will fall sick. People dying in Karamoja, they are not dying because of diseases. These are syndromes which need food to be cured. You get the outbreak of these epidemics, the Ebola, simply because of our poor relationship with environment. We are going into rainy season. Breeding areas for mosquitoes are going to be everywhere. You get? So if we don't prepare the environment enough, by all means, we are going to keep spending a lot of money through the Ministry of Health in treating these communicable diseases, which can be controlled and managed prior.
And therein, I think my next question would be, because you've shared a lot of loopholes that are existing. What lessons aren't we learning? And as I ask that, allow me also read this comment. I'm called Mbazira Gandhi Ronald in Entebbe. Doctor is very clear. Our country is very blessed with all needs, but the authority hasn't done their work. How can people plant trees on a waterfall or swamps? People need sensitization. That's the comment from Gandhi, who is in Entebbe. And adding to that comment, my question still remains, what lessons haven't we learned? Looking at the 2022 drought alone that affected Karamoja. Many years later, 5 years later or 6, we are back at soliciting funds for relief in Karamoja.
That's what I said, that this should be everyone's worry. That if we experienced it before, in 1990 we had droughts here. In 2006 there were droughts here. You get people struggling. But should the OPM wait for these areas? Should the ministry in charge of disasters wait for floods in Erigon region to go and support the people? Should the ministry in charge of Karamoja affairs, my senior minister is Esiza, should you wait for these things to happen again? I'm very much aware that there are some alternatives we can do. The solar-powered irrigation farming is possible in Karamoja. And these waters are there. We have streams in Karamoja, which can be pumped to support at least short-term crops, the vegetables. You get? The beans, these can grow. If sorghum can grow in Karamoja, do you think the same soil can't support the beans, which need 3 months to grow? So that is one. I thank NEMA. They are into Erigon region, where they are implementing bamboo tree growing on hills. People are being sensitized and actively part of their projects. That if these trees are planted in the hills, they are going to increase the firmness of the soils. That before rains come, at least the soil should be somehow intact. You understand? So people need a lot of sensitization. As a country, let's commit. I have said that let at least the Ministry of Water and Environment be one of the highly funded ministries, at least for 3 consecutive financial years. And you give us a task. You give our permanent secretary, you give him a task that we want this achieved. And you fail to get results. We just need to commit and set up priorities. You understand? If it is urban forestry programs, that every person should... There was a fund, parliamentary fund given to UNRA. I'm not very sure whether it is still there after the merging of UNRA back to the ministry. But they were given money to do urban forestry in all road reserves. You understand? And this is simply to increase the beauty, to increase the fresh air, but at the same time adding the numbers of trees, changing the atmospheric weather around that very area where the trees are. You understand? So in this way, as a country, we need to say, if the Ministry of Health is seated when the Kampala is dry, But next months, we are going to experience a lot of floods, a lot of malaria are going to come up, cholera outbreaks. You'll be hearing cholera outbreak in Nansana, something like that. But why? Because the people are not sensitized enough. We have not established enough like preventive measures. Because as a country, if we generate about 66 billion cubic meters of rain waters annually, these waters, if harvested using the earth dams, it can again be used to do irrigation farming in dry seasons. You get that if we set up collection centers for these waters, if the drainage, the reservoirs have been encroached on, and instead of keeping them flooding, harvest it, use it for irrigation.
Right. Now, Doctor, looking at the prolonged droughts and changing rain patterns, how has this affected Uganda's ecosystem and communities?
Of course. We are basing on Karamoja, or areas like we have Kotido. When you go to areas of Untoroko, the ecosystem is so fragile that is prone to climate change impacts in terms of when droughts comes in and desertification. That's why you see in 2 to 3 days of consecutive sunshine, already the grass will start drying up. You get. And when you go to areas like areas in Mbarara, Ntungamo, Bukanga, where these banana come from, they are now complaining that their banana, the matoke, is now ripening.
And the prices have dropped.
Yes, not because that it is too it is old enough, but it is simply because of too much heat. You get. That's why they are now experiencing these losses. And time will come. Now the liter of milk is about 1,500. Why? Because grass, the feed is to these cattle is nowhere to be seen. That's why everything is very expensive. But if the policy is on to support these farmers with at least continued supply of waters, irrespective of it being a rainy season or a dry season, at least we can, at least this will automatically affect our revenues as well. Why? Because if coffee, now coffee. Coffee, the coffees which are flowering now, they won't have beans inside because of too much heat. The flowers are dropping. You get? So someone who was used of harvesting about 10 sacks of coffee, this very season at the end will have about 3, 4, 5. And some of those won't have beans. Won't this affect the economy?
Sure.
So it's a matter of setting up synergistic measures. We all contribute our efforts, not only the Minister of Water and Environment, let all stakeholders, the Minister of Agriculture. Have you tried to find out that can these people really be supported to do irrigation farming? Let it be done, because at least the funds are there. If someone can carry some sacks of money, you have seen people, parliamentary staffs being arrested because of harvesting, pocketing money. You get money which is enough to establish about dams, about 20 dams in the entire constituency, and one person has it.
Climate change and biodiversity, and we're looking at Uganda's trend with Dr. Jibril Semakwera Omcha, who is Uganda's representative at the United Nations Environment Program when it comes to matters climate and environment. Now, getting into a bit of your comments, thank you so much for watching and being part of the show. Doctor, someone comes through and says, "Good morning, Doctor. For me, I have taken your message. May I have your number for direct talk and guidance?" Orago Stephen in Abim, he'll definitely be sharing his contact as we close the show. Kindly share your number or the number of Dr. Omcha. I have land in, okay, for tree, and land you want to dedicate for tree planting. That's beautiful.
That's very good.
Good morning, UBC. This is Ndugwa Freeman Baleke from Kawempe 2. Please, can you help and remove... Okay, I wonder what you mean. but I'll definitely be able to comprehend it as we go on. Dr. Irrigation systems have been established in Karamoja across the region, but communities abandon them when the water levels drop, and cases of vandalism. How can that be addressed? I think we can start with
mindset change. I was in Karamoja where we found people doing mining, manual mining. And in their perception, they thought that we wanted to steal their gold.
Oh.
Actually, we had to coordinate security because we had a group of investors under Sinoway Forestry Company who want to do irrigation farming in the area. But when these people saw us, they thought that we have come to attack them. You get? Not until we went through their leaders, the LLCs. We sat with a few groups of people, they shared with us. From there, I shared a report with the Honorable Minister Fiona Nyamutoro about how can we improve mining in this area. Her comment was very clear, that she appreciated the efforts, but said we need a lot of sensitization to this community. So, to some extent, we may not blame the government, but again, we blame the government that we have not done enough of sensitization. I'm sure that the ministers, the MPs can help to sensitize these people. At least mindset change. This community is very rigid. As he has said that the projects are there, but they are not part of it. They feel like they are... Anyway, we need mindset change to transform them.
The programs and the community are foreign to each other.
Yes. We just need a lot of sensitization, and I believe through their own people, through their own children, you get, that's when they will be in a position of adapting and supporting our programs in their area. Otherwise, still, we may keep soliciting funds to help them. Yes.
Right. Now, let's look at making money. And versus conserving the environment. How can the two balance?
Of course, it was long that we gave a priority to business development, and we forgot environmental protection. That's why I remember what brought Mama Mavida, our Minister for Water and Environment, on board. It was when they had made a resolution of giving part of Mavida Forest to sugarcane growers. But simply because we had gave a priority to business development. If you go to Bugoma Forest, I remember Bunyoro gave out about 400 square kilometers of its land to sugarcane growers. You understand? This is so funny, and we just need commitments that are there other means on how we can generate revenue from the ecosystem without destroying it? Yes. Now, carbon trading is here. That a country with higher forestry cover is going to benefit from their natural resources compared to others. And Uganda, I'm happy that we already have we are entering into collaborative agreement with Singapore, with UAE. All these are carbon traders. And Uganda is going to generate a lot of revenue from our forest cover. That is one. And other decarbonization pathways that have been put in place. You get? That's the beauty number one. Therefore, even those private foresters, you may find someone privately owning land and decides to commit that land to what? To environmental protection. You will find yourself benefiting from the trees you planted some time back without cutting them, but simply because of the credits that you have been that have been collected by a specific acreage of your land. Additionally, we are involving communities onto land conservation. That we are conducting projects in areas like Kisoro, areas like Kasese, where these people have been called upon, sensitized and involved. That is the community now mining in Karamoja. You get? So that these people are being involved into projects. They own the forest themselves because they are the very persons who degraded that very land. You understand? So, and to to our beauty. What is the beauty? That if we sensitize the local people, we have them involved into the projects, we may have them earn a living at the same time reserving or protecting our trees. That is one. Additionally, these swamps you see, the wetlands, the Ministry of Agriculture, at least there is a policy where they are giving out to these fingerlings. So I would request NEMA that they liaise with the MAIF, that those people who privately own wetlands, because we have people who have licenses, instead of setting up structures, can these people receive fingerlings? They do aquaculture in their wetlands. This will generate a lot of money. We have a full department at the ministry. We have a full minister responsible for fisheries. You understand? So it's a matter of mindset change and making these like synergy. You bring, I bring. We add our efforts. We achieve the mission.
Now I think I'm able to comprehend Freeman Baleke's message. And his complaint here was in line with noise pollution. I wonder what you have to say about this, but this is what he says. He says that, please, can you help and remove for us bizindalo, bitumazeke emirembe. Whenever I call, I'm told to write to NEMA, and he's wondering if NEMA connives with people with vizindalos in the community. How does climate change and vizindalo interact?
That is noise pollution. And I have seen them again struggling with specific groups of religious leaders who spend days, hours, appreciating God and maybe playing. Of course, not to affect someone's belief, but again, there could be a way of regulating this. And this is a call to NEMA. It is not my responsibility. Please, my senior ED Balidega, people are complaining that Vizindala are still out there. So kindly work on that and trust me.
Right.
Yes.
Indeed. Now, we begin to close this conversation, and let me just close this with one final comment before I engage you, Doctor. These dams are in Karamoja, but people are not sensitized enough. Indeed, as Doctor has said, mindset change is a process, but I believe these dams will work effectively if people are sensitized well. Though these dams need to be protected through the local leaders and the UPDF, I need to be reduced, and if need, to be reduced on vandalism, dumping on wetlands, bush burning, cultivation on wetlands, and needs to also be addressed because they are greatly affecting the aquatic space and also impacting on weather badly. Thank you for the program. This is Walter Apire from Kitgum Municipality. Doctor, what are your parting shots? And in the same spirit as you give us your parting shots, you can share your contact.
Well, I appreciate the community, those who have decided to engage themselves or to involve themselves into land restoration activities. I heard someone saying that I have land that is available and can be used for trees. That's very good, a good comment from the public. And I appreciate all those church leaders, like the Uganda Kingdom. They have a Chivira Chakabaka program. This is very good. And through their chiefdoms or through their cultural leaders, this is being achieved and implemented gradually. They, however, need support from the government. So I would call the government, through the Ministry of Weather and Environment, can we come up with the commitment, like funding to all these trying communities? I saw the Kingdom of Busoga. They even gave us land. They gave us about 1 acre in every chiefdom to establish a nursery bed. We have these land approvals from Owechitibwa Muvawara, the Prime Minister of Busoga. So these are all efforts that actually we have the church. Now the Church of Uganda, they are doing a very, very good job in sensitizing the people. You imagine that every Sunday in the Bible, there are somewhere in Genesis where God emphasizes ecosystem restoration. that you protect the environment, it will again protect you. You imagine that every Sunday, this verse is preached to the communities. You never know. Huh? In the mosques also, the Quran emphasizes environmental protection. You get? So, if the religious council again come up with commitments that let at least every Sunday we plant these trees, we spare land, because these premises, these churches and mosques have a lot of land. You understand? So all these are possible ways how best we can have our efforts merged together to save the environment. One, sensitization, one, and communal commitment towards these programs. The political leaders, instead of resolving to benefit non-sustainable project, come up with a project that will be sustainable, at least through environmental protection.
Right, indeed. How can people reach you?
078 752 8572. You call me specifically, especially those with the land and would want to be part of our tree growing projects. You send me a WhatsApp, we communicate on 078 752 8572. My role is to serve as a bridge to the ministry, to the responsible persons as far as the forestry is concerned. That is my senior Issa Katwesige, the commissioner, and the chairperson running out of trees campaign. And verifying your commitment towards environmental protection. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Dr. Jibril Semakula Omcha, been speaking with us in line with Uganda's trend on climate change and biodiversity conservation. And thank you so much for being on the show and being part of the conversation. Up next is the highlights from the World Cup. And as UBC TV, we remain here to inspire Uganda for God and my country. Good morning.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
My question is, what is the difference between rental tax and income tax? How comes I'm paying both taxes on my own premises? If you want to have a tin, but you are not making any income from your business, you should take on the obligation to continue filing your nil return.
Commissioner General, to invest in taxation. When people understand taxes and they know the importance of taxes and they know the fair assessment of these taxes they're supposed to pay, I think everybody will embrace